Welcome to Rat Girls Podcast. I'm Abigail Jensen, and today we are joined by Rory Uphold. She is the host of Crimes of the Heart dating podcast and the author of the newly out A Final Girl's Guide to the Horrors of Dating. Rory, welcome.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
I'm so happy you're here. And I was introduced to you by Amy Chan.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, who wrote a blurb on the back of your book.
She's the best. Oh, she's the best. Yeah.
The absolute best. One thing I love about like the dating relationship space is everyone, surprise, has done all the work on dating and relationships and are also then really good friends or like supportive members of the community to people.
Yes, Amy is really, truly the best. Like she's so kind.
Yeah.
And really good at what she does.
Oh, so her book, The Breakup Boot Camp, was like life-changing.
Yeah.
I make every girlfriend I think I've ever had read it because I'm like, I read it even though I'm like married. I'm like, just in case. Like,
it's like true crime, but like for relationships.
Totally.
You're like, I gotta watch it just in case.
Just in case. No, and you can of course apply it to like friendship breakups too, and
100%.
any of that good stuff.
Yes.
But so, what inspired you to write about the horrors of dating?
That's a great question. I mean, quite literally, I think the chapter Monsters is what was the impetus for the framework of the book, like using horror and horror tropes as like the framework.
Yeah.
Because everybody talks about how dating is like a horror show.
Yes.
And it is. I think so many people have been through insane, terrible, shitty things. And also heartbreak can kill you. It is a condition where you really can die of a broken heart. But even if you don't die of a broken heart, it often feels like earth-ending.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that, and I've lived through, as you know, many of the horrors. And then I started to think about it and was like, wait, the way that we talk about even the good stuff, till death do us part, she took my breath away, we fell in love, it is like somewhat horrific. And then of course you have zombies, ghosts, bed death, all of these other things. And I thought, well then if that is true, I would be the final girl, the one who like survives, makes it out alive, lives to tell the tale. And I want everybody else to be as well, because I think there's something really special about final girls in general, that like the movie starts, you understand the killer's in the house or wherever, and like everyone's gonna die, except she's like, I'm gonna rewrite my ending. I'm gonna rewrite my destiny.
Totally.
And I think that everybody might have a set of circumstances that feels like it's horrific or like nobody's out there, but I want to arm people with the tools and the knowledge to be like, no, you can also make it out of the house and have the love that you want.
Yeah, so I love this book. I flew through it. It's so real. It's so funny. It's so raw, and it's so like non-judgmental too, which I always think is so important, especially for the relationship and dating space, because as like someone who's now in a relationship, it's easy for me to look at people dating and be like, like
totally,
oh, you shouldn't obsess over him this way, or like, give advice out now that I'm settled down. It's like I was doing the exact same shit up until the very end, even with my lovely husband. It just happened that my crazy was crazy that he liked, So I love that this comes from like a non-judgmental place. And so when you say like final girl, what is it you wanted the final girls of this book to walk away feeling? Like, what do you want people to walk away from this book?
Empowered, for sure. Empowered. And, like you said, you're in a relationship, you choose not to weaponize that against like people who are single. But a lot of traditional dating advice does. A lot of traditional dating advice puts single women in the position of being chosen. Play it cool. Don't be too needy. Don't be too eager. Don't give it up too soon. All of these things. And what does that instill in women? This idea that we need to act or be a certain way in order to be chosen. And it pedestals men in a way that makes these rejections feel really personal and like we maybe did something wrong. Yeah. And I want to arm women, instead of being chosen, I want them to choose. I want them to feel like they're in the driver's seat of their love life, and also know that regardless of what happens, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that's so like important, and it is so true that men used to be the choosers, partly just because of the way society was set up, like the patriarchy.
You
like
literally couldn't get a credit card without being married.
You couldn't get your own apartment. Like you couldn't live
Get
on
birth
your
control.
own. Birth control. You had to have your husband's approval for birth control.
Yeah.
And so it's like literally society set it up so men could be the choosers.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in this cool place where we don't need them anymore. And women are outpacing men in a lot of different areas. And so like both genders, maybe even more women, can be the choosers.
I think millennial women are the final girls of love and dating because we are the daughters of choice.
Cool.
So I think we're the product of, you know, the Fair Credit Act, birth control for single women, this sort of bodily and financial autonomy. And as a result, millennial women are rewriting the narrative. They are rewriting their stories, and they're saying, if patriarchy is the monster in the house, that's okay. We're doing things differently.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why dating is really hard, is that there is like an expectation that was set, and millennial women, by and large, are the first generation to go, I don't think I want kids. I'm not going to get married soon. I don't have to settle in order to settle down, so I'm not going to.
Totally. Like I can be happy on my own 100%. And we're seeing that. I saw some statistic that it was like, oh my God, this is so wrong. but it's like by 2030, like 45, percent of, or maybe even 70%, that's a huge difference of women are going to be single basically by choice, obviously.
I do think it is something close to like, I think 50%.
Okay. Close to 50%.
Yeah,
I was like, let me either 45 or 70.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but yes. Yeah. 100%.
Well, and that's like so empowering to be like, I choose me. I know who I am. And something I think I love that you talked about in the book is when you realized you didn't want to go from relationship to relationship to relationship, and you wanted to like sit with yourself and learn to love yourself.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think like I have said this before, but one of my like founding principles is don't shop hungry, not because I feel like you have to love yourself in order to be able to be loved. That's not what I believe. I believe that that's like a kind of a fucked up idiom, but I think that when you love yourself, your body, your job, your friends, your life, it is so much harder for someone's dusty son to get you to settle for crumbs. Yes. And I think a lot of the pain we feel is about settling and compromising. And so then we're betrayed by the people we're dating, but we're also betrayed by ourselves. If I get ghosted by somebody and they come back and I take them back and then they do it again, it feels way worse than getting ghosted. Like I cannot control other people's behavior, but I can control mine. Yeah. And I can also control when I leave. Yeah. I can leave at the first red flag. I can leave at the first moment I go, wow, this guy is 100% what I'm looking for on paper, but he doesn't make my nervous system feel good, or I don't feel appreciated, or whatever it is. And instead of hoping that things change, or making little deals, or sacrificing, or overextending, trying to love him into loving me back, I can leave. Yeah. And we don't do that. A lot of the horrors that I've encountered, I am accountable for, in that I was a participant. It's very hard to be wronged by someone that you don't allow into your life. Totally. And that's just the reality. And by the way, I'm not excusing the behavior. Like, if people read the book, they'll know I got ghosted by the man I got pregnant with. Like, I've been through really I get cheated on 3 times. Like, the most insane stories. Like, if you like goss, you'll love the fucking book. But you know, like, when I say I'm accountable for that, like, I don't mean it's my fault, but I just mean there was a certain point at which I went, I don't want to do this anymore. So, like, what's the pattern? Totally. And what are the things that I can change and what I can control? And it's really being so much more honest about what is it that I actually want? What are my standards, and how am I going to keep to them? And how do you like get to that point that you could do that? Well, I got ghosted by the guy who got me pregnant. Yeah. Yeah, that's like a pretty rock bottom moment. But then did you do any like
self-work after that, I guess.
Oh my
Like,
God, a ton.
yeah.
The chapter called Spells, I like go pretty deep into it. And also there's a chapter called Maybe I'm a Monster Too. So I sort of outlined the work that I did.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, I give the advice, and it's hard on podcasts because like if you gave me something specific, like I could work with you on it, because it's all about pulling back the layers of your specific onion and getting to the root of your like limiting beliefs and stories. So when a trauma happens, and let's be real, breakups are traumatic. To downplay that does a disservice to all of us. If you get ghosted, that's traumatic. There are studies that show it is psychologically damaging.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, if you're rejected, if you show up on a date and a guy looks at you and goes and leaves, that's traumatic. Now, your brain tries to make sense of things to protect you from future hurts. So you'll come away with a story, and the next time you're in a situation that feels sort of similar, your brain is going to try and protect you from that happening again.
Yeah.
And that is really great in situations where you're being attacked or where a car comes out of nowhere, something like that that's more physical. It is not great when it's emotional, because as a result, it will replay these traumatic events, and it is damaging. And also we tend to build stories around that. And then those stories hold like limiting beliefs. And it might be like, he left me because I was, or he left me because I wasn't.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And then the crazy thing about our brains is when you have a belief, your brain will literally filter out any sort of evidence that would prove it to be contradictory.
Yeah.
It's like the reticular activating system and the limbic system are parts of the brain that take our core beliefs. So if you believe that there are no good men out there, anytime that there's like something that would maybe prove you different, it's going to be filtered out of your brain.
Totally.
Because we're taking in so much information at all times, but what gets processed and what doesn't stems back to your beliefs. Now, like, I'm giving such a rudimentary explanation for it, but
my wheels are turning. I'm like, yes, explain it to me like I'm 5, because that's the level my brain is at.
But like, for me, feeling like I was unworthy, I found myself in situations where I was like trying to either prove my worth, or I was attracting a lot of avoidant men. And we seek out what is familiar, maybe not what is comfortable. So certain patterns can feel like love. Like if you've only ever had chaotic relationships, chaos will feel like love. And also, if that's what you were raised with, if you had chaos in your home life as a child, chaos will feel like comfort. Chaos will feel like love.
Totally.
So there's a lot of these things that you as an individual, like as a, 20, 30, 40s, however old you are listening to this and dating, have to peel back. And it's like when you notice that adrenaline kick in, or when you notice those thoughts in your brain, it's going like, wait, what is the thought? And what is the feeling? And where is it coming from? And what is the story I'm telling myself? And you genuinely have to isolate, like, what is that core belief? And where did that story come from? And where was the first time in my life I remember feeling that way? And really sit with all of that. And that is not easy work, and it is not fast work, but that will change your life.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, you reprogram yourself. So if you have a belief that, you have to like weigh a certain amount, or people don't generally think like I have to be 120 pounds, but they'll think like if I was thinner, like guys would like me more.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys are like, if I had more money, like I'd get the girls that I want. I think there's a lot of people that hold the belief that like all the good ones are taken, especially if they're, in their 30s or 40s, they're like, all the good ones are taken. Now, you have to think about that and ask yourself, like, is that really true? Is that fact, or is that feeling? And when I say feeling, it's really your fear. Because really what that is, it's a fear that you're actually not going to find a good one.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about like all the good ones are taken. That's crazy. There's
Totally.
love stories
There's
happening
no
all
way.
the time. That it just is like rationally that doesn't make sense. The fear is that you've missed out. The fear is that you're not going to actually get the love that you want. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong?
Yeah.
What if I'm wrong? What if the person that I'm dreaming of is also looking for me? why can't you hold on to that belief?
Right. What if
it
best
feels
case scenario
better,
happens?
it sounds better, and doing that will slowly recalibrate so that one day you're able to wake up and go, I genuinely believe that there are great men everywhere, and I can't wait to find one.
Totally.
That's how you have to walk through the world.
Yeah. You have to like deconstruct your original beliefs and then
Rebuild them.
Whether it's through therapy or like affirmations or like journaling.
It's all of it.
Yeah. Manifestation. I manifested my lovely husband because I
believe it.
I was a anxiously attached girly with abandonment issues. So I would tug at people and be like, why don't you want to be as close to me as possible? You know? And then so when I met Jesse, I was like, this guy, I feel it in my like whole body, like is different. I know that I've had this pattern of pulling people too close and be like, get in my skin, you know, like why are we closer to each other? And then that pushes them away then, you know?
Of course.
And so
could you imagine if I was doing that to you?
Yeah, like no, totally.
If I leave this podcast and then I just like I'm texting you all the time and all I want to like I ask you to hang out every day. No, but like it's insane behavior. I oftentimes I'm like, let's just put this into like a new friend.
Totally.
Because would that work with a new friend?
100%. No, so true. And like, and that's what I had to be like. I literally would do my little manifestations every night and be like, you know, what's meant to happen will happen. Like you know, just because he doesn't text you today doesn't mean he's not thinking about you, know, and like was just like reassuring myself over and over again that like my insecurities like didn't mean he felt any way about me. And I didn't.
Your feelings weren't facts.
My feelings weren't facts. And I didn't base actions off of those feelings. Like I need to text him right now and be like, are you thinking about me? You know,
totally.
Which I would have done in the past.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to sit in that discomfort, but like everything is uncomfortable. Choose your uncomfortable, right? And I think the longer we avoid those feelings, the longer we'll continue those patterns.
Totally.
You ultimately have to sit with the feelings of rejection, fear, wanting to be loved, fearing you won't be loved, fearing you're not lovable for whatever reason. Like until you can sit with that and go, oh, that's what's happening. And like, I remember that. I remember the first time that happened. I was 13 or I was 12 or I was 6 or whatever. Wow. Okay. That's that feeling and that's that story. And it's okay that I am scared and it is okay that I want love. That's not embarrassing. That's really normal. And I'm going to be okay. I trust myself. Like, even if I have to stay in this feeling for a long time, like I'll be okay. I'll survive.
Yeah. I 100% agree and think that's so important. I hope people reading this, like they're going to take away such meaning from this book, but I also think people are going to take away just like enjoyment because you balance the heavy stories with the lighter ones. Yeah. So what was your like favorite, like I loved the falling asleep story in the bedroom. Like what was your favorite, like your funny past story that you tell people like at parties or whatever, like your favorite story?
I mean, that one's pretty good. Yeah, that one's wild. I mean, I think like in terms of funny stories, I'm like out of funny stories at the moment, but because it's just I'm very healed and very like it's
that's the thing that
I'm
sucks
like boring
about
now.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what sucks about being healed. Like it's like there's no do it for the story because it's like damn it.
No. Bad decisions make good stories. Could have been the other title of this book.
Wow,
sure.
That would
100%. I think like. Yes, obviously that's a very fun one. The ick is fun. The ick was fun to write.
Yeah. Wait, will you tell, in case anyone hasn't listened, what the...
I mean, I'm sure they haven't read it.
Or it hasn't read.
Yeah.
The ick that you got.
The ick is a story about how I was in my fuck girl era, but I was like telling everybody I wanted a boyfriend. And I find myself in the back of a Toyota Camry headed to the valley on a Thursday night, which like is... I think we can all agree a recipe for disaster, but at the time I thought like this could be my next, good love. And very quickly I realized that's not going to be the case because he's from a very small town and both of his parents are preachers. And that just like won't work for me.
Totally.
Family's hugely important to me and that's I just know that our values aren't going to align on that. So I go, he's out of the running on boyfriend. But like, maybe this could be like a good sex partner.
Because it takes the pressure off of the relationship, which is so lovely.
Totally. And also I was always looking for like safe people to have sex with. And by safe, I meant like, you know, like physically somebody that I felt like would be responsible with testing and things like that, but then also safe like emotionally. So I hook up with this guy and weirdly he had a waterbed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is such a wild thing. And it ends up being the first time I had like ever squirted. And there's something very funny about squirting on a waterbed in the valley.
Water and water. And it's funny because like I think every level of this story could be an ick. Like I was like, oh, I got to the ick. It's the waterbed. And it's like, no, this isn't the ick yet. I'm like, wait,
no. We're so far from the ick. So
you have a high ick threshold.
Yes. This should give people an indication of when I say horrors, what you're in for, because I feel like most people's horror is like my appetizer. I'm like, what? I feel like this is just the bread on the table. It's free, you know? Like
honestly, same. Honestly.
Yeah. So I have my like first squirting experience. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Whatever. We jump to the end and I go to the bathroom and I turn on the lights, jump fucking scare.
Yeah.
His bathroom looks like something out of the movie Hostel. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get a staph infection. I need to get out of here as fast as humanly
UTI
possible.
just by standing in the bathroom.
I literally had this moment where I was like, is it safer to pee or is it safer to leave? And I was like, I'm gonna pee. I didn't wash my hands because the towel quite literally looked like it was like molded. I was like, okay, we're gonna raw dog this. And then I'm like, I leave and do that whole like, I should probably get home. You know, me thinking like, I need to leave like as fast as possible. And I'm trying to find my socks. I can't find my socks. So then he turns the light on, jump scare again. The bathroom wasn't an anomaly. I never would have done what I did if I had seen what this apartment looked like with lights on.
Yeah.
The carpet was I know the carpet was a color that it was not installed.
Yeah.
Like, and there were dots all over where I assume a pet had relieved itself. I mean, I cannot explain to you how disgusting this place was. Anyway, I leave, don't get a staph infection, which is great. I vow to never see this person again, obviously. But then, like, time goes by, and he's, like, hitting me up, and I'm like, sorry, just, like, I'm really focused on work. I'm seeing somebody else.
And that's always when they want you, too. They're like, she's busy? Has other things going on?
I think I might have said I was seeing somebody, but ultimately, like, a couple months goes by, things dry up, pun intended.
Yeah.
I also am like want to recreate the waterbed situation, but I'm like not at your house, at my house.
Yeah.
So he booty texts me at some point or like hits me up and I decide, okay, fine, whatever. Like he can come to mine. And this starts like us hooking up on and off for months. And the weird thing about this guy is that the second I met him, I felt immediately safe and comfortable with him, which kind of ties into the whole like good hookup partner.
Yeah.
He just reminded me of someone and I like couldn't put my finger on it, but it made me like immediately trust him, immediately like him. And so we had this great like rapport and it was a situation where he was truly my last person to call. He was like so reliable and I knew I could be like, get here and he'd like show up within 30 minutes.
Totally.
Like looking back, it's, I guess, not the best.
Because he was just sitting in his filth at home, just waiting.
Yeah, totally. So he would, like, come over and hook up. And do not ask me what possessed me to do this. But a week prior, I'd had this video shoot. I needed a bong. So I had this bong. It felt weird to throw it away because it was new, whatever. I'd, like, booty texted this guy. He's on his way over. And I decide to like rip the bong. Now, I don't do that, guys. I think at this time in my life, I was smoking weed maybe once or twice a year. And it sure as shit wasn't out of a bong.
Right.
So I think I say in the book, like, you could have called me Boeing because by the time he arrived, I was like high as fuck and barely keeping it together, which is
with a threatening of crashing too.
100%. Like we were losing wings, doors, all the things. And he walks in and I'm like very high and he's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." And he like tries to catch up by drinking some tequila, whatever. We do our small talk, we're hooking up. And then it occurs to me, I remember who this guy looks like. I remember why this guy is familiar. And in that moment, I realize I'm having sex with a man who looks like my cousin.
Has your cousin read this?
Step cousin, not blood related. And I hadn't seen my step cousin in years, which is why I don't think it immediately clicked. We spent a lot of time as kids together, and he lives in another country. But the second I realized it, I was like, I need you to get out and off me as soon as possible. Get away. Yeah. The ick hit me like a ton of freaking bricks. And I tell him and he laughs. He thinks it's funny. I don't laugh. He realizes it's serious. He's like, "Should I go?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." And like, that was dead ass the last time I ever saw this man. And he tried to hit me up for years and I just couldn't do it. I was like, there's literally no way. There's literally no way. Like, I get that legally, I'm sure it would be fine because he's a step cousin, whatever. But in my heart, in my stomach, in my mind, this was like a line, even though he wasn't my cousin.
Totally.
But like, it was a line that I felt like I crossed. I was like, huh? So yeah, that's the ick.
You should have just had like an automated message whenever he reached out to you. It just said
"You
cousin."
still remind me of my cousin.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Stop.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, have you heard of that siblings are dating like thing? Yes. Which is like scarier, even closer to home.
I mean, yeah, that would be so... Yeah, that's not for me. Clearly not for me.
It sounds like the bong was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I guess it was... well, I think the lesson I learned on that is that, like, I think ultimately my body was like, "Girl, stop having sex with somebody you don't give a shit about. Like, you're good. Like, stop this. What are you doing? Yeah. This isn't like... You've reached the end of the road on this man." Because I think the ick is like... It can be a protective mechanism.
Totally.
It can also be self-sabotage and avoidance. We had long passed the self-sabotage and avoidance.
Yeah.
But I do think it was like a protective mechanism.
Yeah, I like after each chapter you like dive into questions people should ask themselves based on like what you've learned from that experience. And with the ick chapter, you're like,
do you get the ick a lot?
A lot, because that might be something to look. You might have like an avoidant attachment style.
Totally, because it could be, exactly. It could be that like you feel very uncomfortable when feelings arise.
Yeah. But this ick was warranted.
Yeah, the feelings that arose were familial, and so that's not something I ever want to experience with my clothes off. Just want to get that on the record.
Yeah, no Game of Thrones here.
Yeah, like, let the world know that's not my vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does, you know, when I look back and like all of the things that I know about like the ick, like, so that one's like definitely a lighter chapter.
Totally.
But that was fun to write. And yeah.
I resonated with so many of the heavier chapters too. I think Werewolf was one that like I really think a lot of women have experienced, which is like being sexualized by someone you trust and don't expect to sexualize you at all.
Yeah. That was one of the harder chapters. There were two chapters that were the hardest for me to write. Werewolf and Vampires was the other one. Those were the absolute darkest ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have to get into like a certain space mentally, or was it therapeutic writing through it, or scary to share?
Yeah, I was pretty depressed when I wrote both of those chapters, and my life got really dark. The werewolf one, how do I do this without revealing things? I talk about how he was from like a pretty prestigious Hollywood, or like has very prestigious Hollywood ties. So I knew somebody else that was in that world in a capacity. I know who you're talking about. I believe you. Like, not that everybody has believed me. Also, it happened.
Yeah.
But it felt validating to have somebody that wasn't in my life at that time at all, who knew these people and understood it and was like, this is how you should step away from this chapter and then come back, because he was also a writer. So that was really helpful. And then the vampire chapter got so dark that I ended up going to Al-Anon.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think there's something about writing where, like, I could talk about it. It's fine. And I'm like, I am fine. I'm okay. But when you write about it, and I'm writing about it in a way where it's like, I'm trying to help other people.
Yeah.
These are not stories I want to share because they're fun. I'm truly trying to spare other people, like, what I went through, because I didn't know anything about narcissistic abuse. I didn't know what it looked like. And of course I would be love bombed. You think I'm amazing. I am amazing.
No,
finally I'm being seen.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, okay, this is it. This is how it happens. And then in no world would I imagine that somebody would lie about something so catastrophic as a way to groom me, to be able to manipulate me and break me down systematically. And, you know, trying to go back, and also there's so many details that I leave out because, again, I need this to make sense to a reader, and it's not about me, like, it's not about me telling you all of these things or you believing me. It's about me helping somebody. And so I think it's so weird to sift through your life and go like, well, what are the important details? What aren't? Because they all feel important.
Yeah.
And they were all dark. And then it's humiliating.
I do not think that as someone reading it, that it comes off as humiliating at all, of course.
I appreciate that. But yeah, but I think, like, going back to werewolves, it's how did I not see that this person had been grooming me since I was a literal child?
Mm-hmm. But that's such a bird's eye view.
I know.
Hindsight is,
I know.
and I think that's why so many women are going to resonate with that chapter, because often we don't even realize a sexual encounter we had was bad until later down the road. And I feel like it's because there's so many like micro things that happen in a sexual encounter, and that's why we always say, like, there's got to be enthusiastic consent, obviously, but when you're put in that moment and you're like you don't, like, when you're put in that moment, like, I don't know the best way to, like, it's like it's a freeze response. It's whatever. And I say the enthusiastic consent thing for people who are more likely to commit, like, SA or whatever, like, because it's not our responsibility. It's not your responsibility in that moment to be like, this is wrong. Stop, because
totally. I mean, I also was so caught off guard. So for people that are listening, it's a chapter about basically I had like an uncle figure in my life. Uncle figure, not blood related. I realize I should really clarify that given the last story we told. And also, yeah. Well, that just seemed
the
really
cousin
weird.
wasn't blood. He wasn't your cousin.
Yeah. But no, he was like a family friend.
Yeah.
And I met him when I was like 12 or 13, and this happened when I was about 25 or 26. So I had a lot of time, and I trusted him. He was somebody that I turned to for guidance at various points in my life, and we had gone to a show together, and I'd never been back to his house, but he told me he was throwing a party because all of these people were staying at his place. So I go back to his house thinking there's a party, nobody's there, and he's like, wait, this is so weird. Where are they? Hold on, let me text them. And it's under this guise of like these people, like his house guests are coming at any moment, all of this stuff. Now, why would I ever... I've known this person for over a decade. Like, of course, I try. If he says, if he says these people are staying with him and there's a party or whatever, of course they're coming. Like, I've literally texted other people, like, being like, this is a thing.
Just as a good person, you don't expect people to be doing the worst,
Totally. When you gave me the address to show up here, I thought that I was going to show up here.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I was going to show up and you would have like guns pointed at me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, of course you take people at their word.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird thing, especially when the thing is like when you trust people, you're not looking. I wasn't looking for warning signs. In the same way that, like, I'm not looking for warning signs with my friends. They're my friends.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I think is hard to reconcile. But I get there, and like there are some details that, again, in the moment, I didn't even notice. I didn't even really clock these until I was writing the story. And I think that's what made it so dark, is that there were things that I missed. But in the moment, like, he offers me a drink and he doesn't have mixers and he doesn't have like anything to make the drink with, which doesn't actually make sense if you're throwing a party.
No, totally.
But I don't know. It didn't. This all happened so fast. And then he kissed me, but before I could really, I didn't necessarily kiss back, but the second it happened, I panicked because I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then when he pulls away, he admits that this is something he's wanted for years. And that's when the fear really took over. And I was trying to figure out what to do, but I was so afraid of ruining a dynamic that had already been changed. I was so afraid of like making things bad for my parents.
Yeah.
I was so afraid of like what would happen in the future if I said no. And so then I didn't say no, I didn't say yes. He just took my hand and took me to the bedroom, and then things happen and I talk about it. The whole time I'm like disassociating, and it's awful, and it gets way worse because it's like you come to find out like this was totally premeditated, totally pre-planned. This is something he's been wanting, and like he really unleashed a lot of his trauma out on me. And then eventually I escape at like 5 a.m. And it's a situation that like I wanted to talk about because if people know me in person or maybe even online, I just don't strike anyone as the type of woman that wouldn't say no. And I was always raised super independent. I always had a voice, and I felt really comfortable. Like, I was the girl that raised her hand in class. I am comfortable asserting myself.
Yeah.
So this moment really stands out because I didn't. And for almost my whole life, I would always say, I've never had sex with anyone I didn't want to, except for one. But it wasn't rape, but I just didn't want it. And then eventually somebody like questioned me on that. And they were like, Rory, it sounds like you were groomed. And I still reconcile with that. It's very hard for me to be a victim. But I also know that I have a protective mechanism that in moments where I'm powerless, in situations where I don't have control, I tell myself I'm choosing this.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
So in a weird way, I think part of why it wasn't as traumatic for me, like to heal and to move on afterwards, and it's not something that like I've had to go to extensive therapy on or anything like that, is that I felt like it was my choice. I now look back and I think something that was so hard about writing it is realizing it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, it was so premeditated.
Yeah.
And like even, unfortunately, if you had vocalized your uncomfortability, we don't even know.
I don't know what would have happened.
If he would have changed because he was already putting in the work to be a predator in that way.
Yeah. I have to hold out hope that he would have done the right thing, but I don't know. And I'll never know because that's not the choice that I made. And I think, look, I've had the extreme privilege of interviewing a ton of experts all over the world. And Nicole Badera is an expert in her first dissertation was on consent and her second was on Title IX. Like, she's quite literally an expert on sexual assault, rape, sexual violence, harassment, etc. And so I talk about how to recover because there is a roadmap and there is a pathway on how to recover from sexual assault. And I think it's so important. And I accidentally did those things. So like that is lucky for me. But I think women or people who have been groomed to be women, more often, it obviously happens to men, but really anyone needs to get familiar. People need to get comfortable being uncomfortable and saying no when they're uncomfortable. Yeah. It's really easy if you're offered a lot of contracts in your job. You get really good at saying no to redlining things or marking things up or saying, no, absolutely, this no longer works for me. If you date a lot, you might get really easy at saying, I don't want a second date. There's certain things that are going to be more comfortable and less comfortable for different people. And we all have like variations in that.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to get comfortable being uncomfortable and still asserting. And then felt scared to say no. And maybe if I had practiced saying no to people that I trusted or people that I was close to or other things, not like necessarily mimicking that, I would have done things differently. And maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. But the least I can do is try to arm people with that.
Yeah, I think saying no, I'm a people pleaser. So saying no is like,
It's hard.
It's hard. And it's one of the, like, the biggest things that I feel like have changed my confidence is I had, also introduced by Amy on the podcast. Colette Pervet on the podcast. She's a dominatrix. And she said, like, every time you tell a white lie or you do something like you don't want to do, that's like stealing power away from yourself.
It's self-betrayal.
It's self, and I was like, that clicked literally since having her on the pod like 6 months ago or whenever it was. I have been like the most confident version of myself.
I love that.
And I was the same in class. I was so talkative, like not afraid to like even argue in class with people or like whatever. But like when it comes to like relationships and like what I want people to think of me, I want to be liked in like no matter if that's like my parents' friends or someone I'm dating.
And that's not embarrassing.
No.
Like that is very human and very normal. And it's, I say that because I think that we as a society have like kind of shit on people pleasers or been like, oh, that's so lame or pathetic or whatever. And it's like, it's not. Yeah,
because if you're not a people pleaser, sometimes bad things can come with that too. Like being left out of, a party in 6th grade or whatever it is,
Totally.
And
well, I just think like there's no shame in love. It's not embarrassing to want to be loved. It's not embarrassing to want to be seen.
But it feels now so much better being loved and seen as being myself.
100%.
And,
yes.
And that has like been life-changing and huge. And I've had experiences like the werewolf experience, and I think no matter how outwardly like fuck you are to like the patriarchy or whatever it is in your life, like that can still happen to you and you can still freeze up like I did. And it's so important to have those weapons in your arsenal, basically, of being able to be okay and be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But also I want people to know sometimes our body just reacts even with the weapons. So that's totally, you can never be hard on yourself.
It's the one chapter in my book where I'm like, I actually don't, I do take accountability in that, like I talk about it and just in the way that I have now. However, that is one where I'm like, you cannot, there's nothing you can do to prevent assault.
Totally.
Like that is victim blaming.
Yeah.
And that mentality will compound trauma if, God forbid, something happens to you. So that is just not the way to think about it or, look at that kind of thing that happens to people in life.
Yeah.
But I agree, there are things you can do after. And when I say like getting comfortable being uncomfortable or saying no in uncomfortable situations, that's for so many things.
Total. I mean, I've never felt more like myself.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, totally.
And what are some other things that you did after on accident even that you feel like helped you?
So the two things for recovering from like sexual trauma, and again, like it's not, I should have done this. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
It is, this person did this wrong thing and it's shitty. And then 2, it's giving yourself agency because sexual violence is an emotional assault.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely are people physically hurt, but they're emotionally hurt.
Yeah.
And what it is it's like, I didn't want to do this thing and I was forced to do this thing. And so it's a lack of agency. So giving yourself agency in all aspects of your life. Now, for me, there is an addendum to that chapter that this person called me to be like, you have chlamydia. Which is so funny. What's wild about that is like, it's the only time I've ever had somebody call to be like, you have an STI. Turns out I didn't, but you know, in that moment, and I lost it. I like unleashed on him. So I think in a weird way that, and he was apologizing. And even though it wasn't, I'm apologizing for the situation, it was me being able to like get out and correctly name and blame and him like acknowledge and apologize.
Yeah.
Which isn't always, you're not always going to get that. That's not, you don't have to have that in order to have healing. But I think for me, indirectly, it helped me correctly name and blame.
Totally.
And then I think also the framework of me going, it was my choice. I regret this, but this was my choice. Gave me a sense of agency in a moment where I didn't feel like I had agency. And then what was also my own control, I was living in another state. I was living in New York at the time. And I told like 3 people. But I was in charge of who knew. Yeah. I got to decide who knew. Mm-hmm. And then thirdly, I saw him. He threw an event and I was invited to it. And I flew back to Los Angeles and I went to that event with my best friend and her boyfriend at the time. And they knew and we went and I said, this is what I want to have happen. I want to go and I want to normalize things. I want things to be totally normal so that the next time I see him when I'm with my parents, no one will know, it'll be fine and it'll be whatever. And I did that and it was like that ever since. So again, in a weird way, it felt like I did have control and I did have agency over the dynamic, over the situation. And it wasn't until this book and me writing it that I told anybody else.
Yeah. And I can't imagine how scary that is, letting like other people, I'm so thankful you put it in here, but like just letting, because you don't know everyone who's reading it now, you know?
I know no one who's reading it
now. Yeah. So
people buy a book. I have no idea if they've read it, started it. I don't know who's bought it. I don't know if they laugh. I don't know if they're like, oh, this is, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so that's like,
unless they write a review. Kind
of a beautiful release. I need to go write a review.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like a beautiful release of control too, though, in some ways, where it's like maybe releasing the story from you now.
I think having written it, writing it was so dark and I guess maybe therapeutic in a way, that now I do feel very released from it. I really do. Yeah. You know, whatever happens, happens. He's either going to read it or he's not. I don't care.
And maybe, I shouldn't say that. And maybe he'll get hit by a bus. I don't know. I don't know.
You know, I don't wish ill on him. I know that sounds insane, but I don't.
I do, because you don't need to hold the burden of wishing ill. Let me be full of revenge.
That's the thing, is that like, and I'm going to say something and I want people to understand that I'm saying this solely for me and my experience and my situation, knowing that I know a lot about the history of this person. This is a hurt person who hurt a person.
Yeah.
He was in a very dark place and is messed up and is pathetic. That is very pathetic behavior. And so I don't wish ill on him, you know?
You like pity him.
I pity him.
Crazy when you realize that so many of these men who commit atrocities, you know, are just pathetic. Like, just losers. Like, this is like a whole switcheroo, but like, I do think, like, let's bring back booing and shaming and like.
Girl, I said that too.
Yeah, like
I said it too.
What happened to public shaming?
We need that a little bit more. Yeah.
Totally. Like I think with some opinions that are online now, like the manosphere and just people more like alt-right and just saying atrocious things, like we're allowed to boo them. Like we're allowed to be like, I mean, you
according to the manosphere, this didn't happen, right? Because I didn't call the police, because I didn't whatever.
But then if you do call the police, it's like what I ended up reporting what happened to me like 2 years later maybe, and it was through a studio because I come from a TV background, you know, and I report it through the studio. And then that's when I don't have control anymore over what's happening with the story, who's in charge of it.
Which is really hard. And that's like part of why Nicole wrote Title IX, her book on Title IX, which is, again, like the worst thing you could ever do. Like never, ever, ever, ever go through Title IX if you happen to be a college age person or you have a teenage daughter or son. Because of the way that it robs you of your agency,
Totally.
It compounds the trauma. Yeah,
I felt like violated all over again. It's like it's crazy.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
I'm like, oh, it's fine. You're my people pleasing.
Yeah.
No, I feel lucky now that I've been able to, you know, work through it and know that also wasn't fair. You know, like
Totally.
like I can now point and blame also the system that's set up and be like, fuck
100%.
This man, fuck you, this system, fuck you, you know?
Part of the reason why this book isn't just advice and it's also these stories is one, I think it's entertaining because I wrote it in a funny way and it's got the fun horror tropes and whatever. But really, the truth is that I think we hold on to lessons wrapped in stories way easier. Every woman on planet Earth knows to say no.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That did not help me in the moment. But maybe if I had heard this story, I would have remembered.
And understood, like, where will I be when I look back on this?
Right.
Will I think this was a consensual interaction?
Right. So that's why. That's why there's stories and that's why I shared some of these dark things, because if one person can remember some of the details of whatever story they connect with, then maybe they'll make a different choice than I did, and it'll spare them some of the heartache that I went through.
Yeah. I'm so appreciative for you for sharing, because I really think people are going to read this book and feel like at peace with themselves.
Oh, I hope so.
Well, because I feel like I did also like the up and down of like, there were some really funny, silly moments when I dated that I love to tell. A man asked if he could sniff my butt. You know, like we love like the silly moments or like the quirks. And then there are the darker moments. And it's the thing about like sex and dating is it comes with all of them. And so for women to not feel shame around any of it and just feel empowered about like how they move through this world and date and like come to peace with those past experiences, knowing that a lot of us are experiencing it. I think that's so huge.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, if you feel shitty about your love life, read the book. You'll feel way better. Like I've fully been there and it gets better and come out the other side. But it's like, yes, that's why it's conversational. That's why I wrote it in a certain way, because I don't want to ever feel like I'm talking down. And like, that's why I love what you said at the very beginning about, you know, not being patronizing and not weaponizing the fact that you're in a relationship, because people want to be spoken to.
Yeah.
Nobody needs like, it's also like, and I hope you stay married for the rest of your life, but the odds aren't good. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it does feel very patronizing when people try to give single people advice, and it needs to feel less shameful and more like we're all coming together and trying to actually help, right?
Yeah, 100%. It needs to be like everyone needs to. I mean, there are experts, but I feel like giving advice from the place of like, I don't know, like this is a fucking hard thing to be doing.
It's hard,
and it's like very impressive that you're doing it.
And that you continue to. I think I say this at the very end of my book, and I say the definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah.
But I disagree. In love, I think it's just really fucking brave. I think it takes incredible courage, incredible bravery to pick yourself up and walk down the same dark hallways knowing that you could get scared or hurt in the same exact way, but believing maybe this time will be different.
It's like going through a haunted house.
I applaud every single person that has the courage to keep trying. And I applaud everybody that still believes in love, because you should, because it is out there.
Totally.
But so many voices and situations, dynamics are encouraging people to be like, fuck it. I'm not even going to try.
Well, and I think just because like love doesn't end in a marriage or whatever doesn't mean it wasn't a win. You know, like that's
my
the
God,
beautiful
yeah.
thing about it too. It's like any experience you got to have with someone where you're so vulnerable with them, where you're both like completely open to them, like that's so beautiful. Like,
fun fact, the photo at the end of the book, the artist photo,
Yeah.
like, or like my photo,
I'm like, wait, like,
my ex-boyfriend took it.
no way.
Yeah. He took that
It's a good
photo, and
photo.
he took all the press photos for the book, and he's got a kid with his new partner who I also like and adore, and we are cool.
Totally.
And I know that if I pick up the phone and I need him, he'll be there, and he knows if he or she, his son is a little too small to pick up the phone, but if any of them picked up the phone, I would be there.
Yeah.
Just because we don't share a life like we once did does not mean that I don't root for him every day.
And I think that's beautiful because that's on human connection. And
Totally. It's also like, let's start celebrating divorces. Let's start
Totally.
celebrating when single people buy houses. Let's start celebrating promotions. Let's start celebrating when you leave your breakup. Like, we gotta celebrate more than just baby showers and engagements and
100%.
weddings. Like, because that's...
Celebrate like finding $20 on the street. If I found $20 on the street, we know we're in a recession because no one's finding money on the street.
No.
If I found $20 on the street, I'd invite all my friends over for a party. Say, guys, we gotta
You
celebrate.
get this much pizza.
Yeah, like celebrate everything. Like life's about pleasure. Turn it all into a win.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Before we get to send it to the sewers, I would be remiss if I did not ask you your favorite horror movie because this is
Oh,
full
yeah,
of
right.
lovely...
You guys are horror buffs, yeah?
Oh, we love... Well, so my husband loves, I tolerate. I mean, I love a campy horror. That's my favorite genre. I can't do body horror. And I also love a horror that makes me think. I like to get out a ton.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What, do you have any...
I would say Neve Campbell, Scream.
So that's Jesse's favorite movie of all time. We have a signed Wes Craven Scream
Wow.
poster downstairs.
Wow.
That, I mean, incredible. The
Yes.
ultimate final girl.
And I also think part of it is like, I have this like mini chapter where I say they always come back. And it's in Scream, you know, obviously at the end in Scream 1, boom, they always come back. And I think that that's such a trope in dating. Like, oh, they always come back. And it's like, that is not a flex.
Yeah.
They think that they come back. They think that they can come back because your boundaries are weak. It's not because you're amazing.
Yeah.
They thought that they could come back and you would take them back.
And Scream said, Sydney Prescott.
Boom. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Why,
Nope.
Why are you still nearby? Go live in like Costa Rica. I don't understand.
1000%. Girl, get out.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
The people are obsessed with you. Like, oh my goodness.
But I love the evolution of her, the strength.
Yes.
There's so many, she's very rootable.
Oh,
Is that a word?
I think root. Yeah.
Rootable?
Yes. Yeah.
You guys get what I mean.
We
Yeah.
root for her.
Yes.
100%. I think that, like, also just, what's her name? Gail Weathers, like, is,
yes.
you know.
Wait, what's your favorite?
I really love The Babysitter. Have you seen that movie? Okay, I just love like a campy, silly
Fun.
drama, but I think it would all take me back to Scream because I think that kind of was the first in modern era of horror that was not taking itself too seriously, which I love. I mean, is it Matthew Dillard? Is that his name? Matthew
Lillard.
Lillard.
I was like, wait, that sounds so
I know, you're
close.
like, wait, this is someone.
Well, there's Matthew Dillon and Matthew Lillard. And I think,
yeah.
And you made them both.
Yeah, and honestly, that'd be a beautiful man. But Matthew Lillard, like his character in the first Scream, just like how goofy and silly he is, and but then he ends up being don't.
And by the way,
Scream spoilers.
And that's a lesson.
Yes, the goofy guy, the nice guy, could be the killer. I'm glad that that's your favorite. We're a pro Scream household. So now getting into Send It to the Sewers. This is a segment of the episode where we each rant about something from the week. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay,
you know what my rant is going to be, and I don't want to rant about it, so I'm going to do something else.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I want to rant about, I love LA so much. I've seen so many concerts in LA. Most recently Beyonce and Chappel, which were
very recent.
Yeah, very recent. Chappel was incredible. And there's something about LA audiences. The
energy.
The energy is off. Like when I would see shows in St. Louis, we have nothing else going on there. So when Beyonce comes to St. Louis, Missouri, I saw her on Lemonade Tour there. I am crying, I'm screaming. Everyone around me is crying and screaming. We're like, we cannot believe this giant celebrity is performing for us. We're all having like a spiritual, like my soul is outside my body. You know, like I am floating, I'm flying. And I don't know if it's something about LA. You're so many industry people.
I think, yeah.
I
think so.
So it's just not as cool for them.
I don't know. I mean,
exciting. I don't
know. But my guess is that there are so many celebrities and there are so many people that used to work in the industry. Now no one's working. That maybe it is sort of normalized. And then maybe there's also people trying to be cool.
That's what I was thinking, like too cool for school.
I think it's probably a combo of people that are just sort of unfazed and then some people that are probably trying to be too cool for school.
That was so, like, because Chappell, I love her to death. I walked down the aisle to Pink Pony Club, like, I don't know, whenever I got married. And like, so I'm like crying, I'm like dancing, throwing my hands up, and my friend took a video of it and sent it later. And I didn't even realize until she sent me this video of us like in the crowd that no one else is reacting this way at all. You know?
Weird.
Yeah. And it's just more just like head bobbing and like just chill vibes. And like either it's too cool for school, don't really care because you're industry, or you're on some like amazing drugs that I wish I was on, you know? Like
it could also be that. Yeah, everybody's like, I feel like everybody and their mom is on either ketamine or mushrooms.
Or Molly or whatever, having the time of their life, which good for them, but it's not outward. So like, and Chappell even said during her performance, like, I feel weird performing in LA because it feels industry. Like, don't get in your head. Just have fun, you know? And I was like, have fun, guys.
Let's get fun.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, you know?
She said so.
Yeah, me and Chappell are like on the same page. You guys better listen up. But that's
amazing.
My send it to the sewers. I guess LA audiences, but just people who are afraid to have fun.
Let go.
Yeah.
Let loose at a concert.
Yeah.
Good God.
Because there's no other time where you get to just dance like that and scream and be silly and like happy.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. My send it to the sewers is going to be about sunscreen. There's so much misinformation about sunscreen and everybody thinks, oh, mineral. Well, there's chemicals in mineral. So, your mineral sunscreen is not chemical free.
Totally.
And your chemical sunscreen, like the best sunscreen is a sunscreen that you'll wear and wear in the right dose, which should be 3 fat fingers worth. So all of the like misinformation around sunscreen seems to be connected to a couple of things, like weirdly the beef tallow maha group.
Yeah.
And well, it is this new thing. Obviously, skincare is a huge thing that I'm obsessed with. I know so much about. And I have been, because I have like autoimmune issues and I'm vain, I know like...
Your skin looks great, by the way.
Thank you. An extraordinary amount of information about both anything like derm related, but also kind of mystery illness, wellness, health related. Campaigns swell up of misinformation, and then inevitably so many people will text me to ask me about, sunscreen, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't wear American sunscreens because the FDA has not been updated since like the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
So I get all of my sunscreen overseas, but nobody's going to really do that.
Where overseas? Like,
it depends.
Okay.
So my favorite Australian is ultraviolet, but you have to get it either in the UK or Australia or wherever, because they do now offer it in the United States, but that's a different formula. I'm obsessed with watery essence, the Biore watery essence from Japan, Isn't Tree, or Beauty of Joseon from Korea. There's another Korean one. I'm not even going to bother saying it because you can't get it. When I was in Korea, I literally bought 12 bottles at the airport, which was the only place that you could get it in all of in Seoul, which is insane. In Europe, there is...
I'm going to have you tell me that afterwards because my sister's going to Korea at the end of the month.
I can hook you up with all the things. Isden in like Europe, but you want the UV and UNE one.
Okay.
So it's like I have one, and I alternate through all of them, and I just think it's just insane to me. Like that is my take it to the sewers. Like all of the misinformation, and the reality is that sunscreen's not the op, but the sun is. The UV is. 95% of all signs of aging, sun. UV. It's related to UV damage, which like yes, you can get from blue light, blah blah blah, all of these things, but not to mention that like I have autoimmune, so sun is, I have to deal with that and that. And also, my dad just had melanoma removed from his face this year. You know, like, I have skin cancer in my family, so I care for a myriad of reasons. But I just hate to see people following inaccurate advice.
Yeah, Maha advice. My sister is a nurse practitioner injector at Ject. She like does the Botox, the filler. I feel so lucky to be a Nebo sister and get it all free and get all the skincare products free. But she dated this guy, speaking of like dickmatized, who didn't believe in sunscreen. And I like didn't believe in it, used coconut oil. And I was like, Grace, you are not done. I mean, she would tell the story. But like, I was like, you cannot like go against everything you believe. Your number one like belief is sunscreen, so please do not go against that for this hot man who's gonna age very poorly.
He's gonna age like a leather bag. But it's also like that, not to circle back, but like see how powerful beliefs are.
You're the confirmation
bias. Like it is. But also he just believed that, and so there was no changing.
And I said, Grace, where's he getting this information? She said, the dark web. I said,
yeah, of course.
If someone's getting on the dark web, maybe we don't date them.
Also, there are so many studies. I cannot state this enough, that this is not something that is a United States thing. Yeah. This is global.
Totally.
But there are people that think you get cancer from the chemicals in sunscreen versus the sun. And also, well, you know what? I'm not even going to go down the rabbit hole because this podcast would be an hour long. But like, there are lots of intricacies when it comes to skin cancer, when it comes to the sun and all of these things. But there's so much evidence that lets people know that on all sides of what we just talked about, sunscreen is helpful, not harmful.
Totally. And it's like, use the cleanest you can. If you can get it from other places, amazing, beautiful. If not, use what's available to you. Use what you can afford. Use what's around. Like
the best sunscreen is the sunscreen you wear.
Yeah, totally. That's like the best workout you do is the workout you do, you know?
100%. Yes, exactly.
We love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been such fun. A pleasure to talk to you. Where can everyone find you and where can everyone find your book?
Book is very easy to find. It's a click away on Amazon.
We love easy peasy.
But it's also basically anywhere you get books online. You can get it at bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble. You can get it directly from me at thehorrorsofdating.com, whatever you prefer. And you can find me at I Could Be Blonder on Instagram because I could be blonder. And then you can find me at Rory Uphold on TikTok because I'm bad at branding. And yeah, that's about it. Or you can listen to the pod, whatever. Yeah. Just find me however you want to find me.
Everyone, please check out Rory. Please read this book. It is so good and just so it's feel good. Like it.
Thanks.
Even the parts that are not feel good are feel good because they make you feel accepted and
lol.
Yeah, and you're lolling the whole time. We love a millennial lull. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you next week, feral friends. Bye.